It's chef's kiss. It's fantastic. I will never stop talking about this series ever, 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 ever. Hello, Tandem fandom. My name is Char. Welcome to the Tandem Collective, where you can find the latest book recommendations, releases, and news from Team Tandem. I am your romance correspondent, and since it is the month of love, I thought that I would bring you my 5 favorite romance tropes with 2 recommendations under each. So let's get into it. The first one up is a classic, in my opinion. It's Enemies to Lovers. And I am all on board with a little bit of hatred. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit of hatred. A sprinkle, if you will. Because too much hatred is not believable for me. I can't understand how you go from full-on hatred to romance. That just does not fly with me. A sprinkle of hatred is the right amount, and I will not be argued with. The first book recommendation under this, there are 2 from each, is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. Eve Brown is my favorite of the Brown sisters, which is controversial because a lot of people go with Dani as their favorite. Eve is mine. She's a plus size queen for starters, already winning. But this is set in, like, if you haven't read it already, it's set in a B&B. Jacob is the manager, and he's like super in control, unflappable, and Eve is a hot mess. She accidentally hits him with her car. He breaks his arm. She has to stop working the B&B because they're understaffed, and of course they fall in love. It's not only enemies to lovers, it's Grumpy Sunshine as well, which is just so good. And there is one particular spice scene that is just top tier writing from Talia Hibbert, in my opinion. So that is my first recommendation. The second recommendation I have for you is Delilah Green Doesn't Care. I'm a big fan of the series in general, but this is the first in the series. I love the cover artwork, and this is my second recommendation for Enemies to Lovers. Delilah is an unbothered photographer. She used to live in Bright Falls, moved away. She's estranged from her family, but she's back for her like stepsisters, half sisters, Astrid's wedding, and falls in love with one of Astrid's friends who was not very nice to her as a teenager. The representation is great, the humor is great, and the writing is fantastic. And if you do get on with this one, I would absolutely recommend the rest of the series because they are all great. It follows the friendship through. And I like that sort of setup with series where it's set in the same place and it's friendships. So they are my Enemies to Lovers recommendations. We're moving swiftly on, and the second favourite trope that I have is Grumpy Sunshine. I did mention this one before with Eve and Jacob, so if you are a fan of Grumpy Sunshine, I would absolutely recommend Act Your Age, Eve Brown. But under this one, we have Neon Gods. I will never stop talking about Katie Robert. I'll never stop talking about this series. The Dark Olympus series by Katie Robert is one of my favorite series out there. The first book is Neon Gods. It follows Hades and Persephone. Obviously, the grumpy is Hades. Persephone, goddess of spring, is the sunshine. There are 10 books in the series, with 3 more to come out, I believe. Midnight Ruin is out and actually features later on in the video. Because it's all set in Olympus and they're obviously all of the gods run in the same circles, I'm really just live, and like I'm giggling and kicking my feet for snippets of Hades and Persephone's relationship. Like they are just the end game for me. I read Neon Gods and just it's put me on such a Hades and Persephone hype that I just can't get out of. So yes, that is my first and main Grumpy Sunshine recommendation. The second is Icebreaker. And I think what I like about Icebreaker and the Grumpy Sunshine is that it's so often the Grumpy Sunshine is that the guy is grumpy and the girl is sunshine. And actually, this is, role reversed. Anastasia is the grumpy and Nate is the sunshine. And I love that, hockey player sunshine. It's just brilliant. If you haven't been living under a rock, you know about Icebreaker already. It's sports romance. It's spicy. It's cute. It's pastel. I don't know what else to tell you. You need to read it. It's got Taylor Swift references all through it as well. The third trope that we're going to talk about is why choose? Why choose? The first book that I'm going to talk to you about in this is Midnight Ruin, which I've just read, which is the most recent Dark Olympus book from Katie Roberts. Eurydice, Orpheus, and Charon are the 3 featured. Earlier in the series, Eurydice and Orpheus were together. They had been dating for a while, but they didn't work out. So Eurydice steals away to the lower city where Hades operates, and has been sort of very close friends with Charon throughout. their relationship, Karen and Eurydice's relationship, takes a sort of deeper turn in that they start seeing each other in a romantic capacity, and then Orpheus wants to make friends again with Eurydice, and then the three of them start seeing each other. It's chef's kiss. It's fantastic. I will never stop talking about this series, ever, 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 ever. Okay, the second book in my Why Choose recommendation is Infinity Alchemist by Kaysen Callender. This is Kaysen's first sort of foray into YA fantasy, and we are so excited. We're currently running a read-along for this. It came out last week. It's published by Faber. It's magic, it's quests, it's young people falling in love, finding out their power, just being with each other. It's really, really great, and the representation in it is fantastic. We cannot recommend this enough. This is my second recommendation on the Why Choose trope. Okay, next one is, I feel like this is a given. If I didn't include this trope, I think I would have been, the romance readers would have been up in arms. It is the one bed trope. One bed speaks for itself. There is, of course, our main characters get to a place, there's only one bed, or there's only one room, or there's only one bed. What are they going to do? Of course, they're going to share it and fall in love. The OG one bed romance is, of course, The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. If you haven't read this book yet and you call yourself a romance reader, what are you doing? The Flat Share, for me, very much revolutionized romance in the age that we currently live in. It's everything you want from a romance novel. It's sweet and it's complex, and the characters are complex, and they've got other stuff going on, but the romance is so believable and strong, but the premise is so wild. The premise is so wild. So if you don't know, The Flat Share follows Tiffy and Leon, and they share a flat, but they've never met. And they also share a bed. So they timeshare the flat, basically. One of them works days, one of them works nights. And so they are never in the flat at the same time. But through Post-it notes and texts and, whatever, they fall in love. It's one of the books that got me back into romance when it came out. Yeah, I have like the big trade paperbacks, the airport copies. I got it in the airport and I loved it. And I never stopped recommending it. I think if you're looking for an entry back into romance, The Flat Share is a perfect entry point. But yes, one bed, The Flat Share. The second one bed recommendation from me is, I think, another classic. I think one that won't surprise people is Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is, again, very classic, very tropey, workplace romance, enemies to lovers. But there is also a one bed situation where the main characters have gone to Spain for a wedding and they have to share a bed. And of course, they fall in love. And my fifth and final trope is marriage of convenience. Marriage of Convenience. And actually, I have just realized that I've named another Dark Olympus Katie Roberts series, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. So the first book is Electric Idol. This is also in the Dark Olympus series. I think it's book number 4, potentially. But this follows Psyche and Eros, and they have marriage of convenience, I think to convince Eros's mum to not kill Psyche. It's just it's so great. They're one of my favorite couples in the whole sphere of characters within Dark Olympus. I would absolutely recommend this. The second one, which you might have got a sneak peek of, is Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This for me was my favorite of the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy. I love Declan and Iris. I think that they are a great couple. Their marriage of convenience is fantastic. So the whole shtick with the Dreamland Billionaires, for this grandparent who owns a Disneyland-esque a Disneyland-esque park. They all have an inheritance, but he's left them this task, basically, that they have to fulfill to get their inheritance. And Declan's is he has to get married and have a baby. And he's a bit of a, he's the big shot on campus. He's the guy that everyone is scared of. He is also Grumpy Sunshine. And Iris basically is his assistant. She offers to marry him because no one else can stand to be around him, but she works well with him. And they get married. And of course, they fall in love because we love a happily ever after here. So I would absolutely recommend that. I would recommend the others in the series as well, but I think the second is definitely my favourite. And that is it from me. They are my top 5 romance tropes. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you've got anything else that you want to add, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and you've enjoyed my recommendations, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Tandem Collective channel for more bookish content from Team Tandem. You can also get all of our latest creative opportunities straight to your inbox by signing up to the newsletter in the video description below, and you'll find us on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.